Hi, I'm Heidi Furrow, and this is Bookworm Weekly. I did try to create just a video to upload and things like that, but it felt really stuffy to me. And I want this to be a platform for open discussion. Um, this is all about books. I love to read, and I have been in desperate need of people of like minds to connect with. I've always wanted to start kind of a book club, and unfortunately, I'm a woman of a certain age, and I don't have children of my own. But my friends all have kids, so uh, this is probably a bit of an anomaly for the first live, mainly because I wanted to check it out and try it out and see how it goes. I will probably end up doing this more on a weekend, like maybe a Sunday, uh, going forward, but I had time now. So, anyway, a little bit about me. I live in a very small community in central Nebraska. I have a 17-year-old stepson who is going to be a senior in high school and then going into the Air Force. So that is some exciting things that are going on. I am also a cat mom. I have two cats. So if you see them in and out, they live here, and I don't try to control what they do too much because, well, they're cats. How do you control a cat? And the room that I use, they have a really great spot on the window sill where they like to hang out and look out the window. And of course, they're always curious what I'm doing. Anyway, I guess I will start by explaining how I came to this. Um, I have wanted to create something for a long time. I wanted a space to discuss things that I'm really excited about as far as literature and, new releases with books or books that I've found that have probably been out forever and, that kind of thing. So I would really just like to be able to talk about them. Uh, I started, you know, with a love for books at a very young age. My dad read to me every single night when I was little. I started reading on my own by the time I was 4 or so. Um, Anytime there was a snow day or a long winter break and it was too nasty to be outside, my mom would pick up one of the old classics like Little Women. I know that we went through the entire Little House on the Prairie series at one point. So, I mean, we've all in my house, in my household growing up, uh, kind of addicted to reading. Yeah, we watched TV, but if we could pick up a book, we most likely did. I never saw my older brother or my mom without a book. I don't think I ever went anywhere without a book of some sort. Uh, I actually used to get grounded from my books because I am an insomniac, unfortunately, and I would be reading clear into the wee hours. My mom would get up in the middle of the night and see my light on, and she'd come and take my books away until a more appropriate time to be reading. So, and I read everything, absolutely everything I could get my hands on. I had an interest in Shakespeare at a really young age. Romeo and Juliet, of course. What girl doesn't want to read Romeo and Juliet? And I had my fifth grade teacher wouldn't let me use it for a book report. She said it was too hard for me. And man, did I show her. She still wouldn't approve it, but I read it anyway. It took me probably about a month or so. And of course, I had to look everything up. I had to reread everything like 3 or 4 times. I was very determined. So, and that's, and that's how I am with all the books. And I think now it's kind of created an addiction. And it's one that I don't really want to seek recovery for, honestly. I can go through sometimes a book a day, even when, I have work and other commitments. It doesn't take me very long. I was, I actually got books for Christmas. That was my Christmas wish list was books. And it was the Bridgerton series because I've seen the show, but I really wanted to read the books, and completely different. So if you haven't read the books, I highly suggest it. But I have the first 8 books in a box set that I got. And then a book that I'm going to introduce later was another title that I wanted. And I read all 9 of those books in about 6 days. So it's just, it might be a slight problem, but it's not too bad. I still try to make time for other things. Anyway, again, I know that there's probably not going to be a lot of viewers right now or a lot of people jumping in the comments. I am happy to answer questions about myself. As long as they're clean, please try to be respectful. Try to be respectful of each other in the comments. Please refrain from using foul language if you can help it. Because I'm hoping that maybe there are some young adults, out there that, have a love for this too and are curious about some uh, titles and wanting to expand their genres and things like that. I have an almost 18-year-old niece, and she's obsessed with reading. She always has been. But let me tell you, there's some of the things that she reads at her age, um, started reading probably 3 or 4 years ago, that I would not have gotten away with. Uh, so I was really not. So I want to try and keep this age appropriate. Of course, there's going to be titles that are discussed and introduced that are probably not appropriate for younger readers. If there's an interest at all in me doing a separate thing for children's literature, I'm more than open to doing that. I currently work in a daycare, and I love to read to the kids. Um, Almost every buddy that works with me uses tablets and things like that, to keep the kids entertained, even to read stories. Um, and I just, I like a good old fashioned book. I like to be able to smell the book, the pages, feel them in my fingers. I do not like e-readers. I've tried. Maybe one of these days, if I do more traveling where I can lounge on a beach, I'll invest in one. But it's really not my thing. I'd much rather have a book. I am very, very big in supporting local libraries. So anybody who says that they can't afford a book or whatever, that's just an excuse, because you can go to your local library, and if they don't have a title that you're looking for, they will find it for you. They do inter-library sharing, and libraries also have e-reader, an e-reading possibility as well. They have a virtual book list, so, and it's all free. Anyway, So that's a little bit about me. And, I kind of want to jump in here. I don't want these videos to be terribly long. But I do want good discussion. So if we get on a topic and it just keeps going, I mean, I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't want to be on here for hours though, and we all know it can get out of hand. So that being said, how this will work is that this first time, I've already read the book that I'm introducing to you, so that I had something to talk about. But going forward, we will discuss the book in question, and then there will be a title that is chosen, and then it will be read for the next week. That way, you all have a chance to read it and get in on the discussion. And hopefully, there's no spoilers or anything like that for anybody. And I apologize ahead of time if there are. Also, I am not sponsored by any of the authors. So all of the things that come across are solely my opinion and hopefully yours if you're wanting to give this a shot. Yeah, like I said, I just really, really want people to talk about books with, and I would really love it if there are suggestions on some titles. I keep thinking that I want to go back and read some series. I really love a series, especially an epic type series. I was in junior high when the Harry Potter books came out. So I waited to read them until there were several, because I don't like to wait. I'm impatient. So I'm the same way with my television shows. I wait till the full season is out and then I binge. So, but yeah, the first 4 Harry Potter books I read in a week when I was like a sophomore in high school. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing. I will get better at this. I promise. I do ramble a little bit. But right now I'm talking to myself. There's nobody else here. Okay. So I am trying to be a little ironic with this first book because it is called The Page Turner. It is a book about books. It is a book about the love of literature and the whole spectrum of feels in this. It will make you feel an immense joy and grief. And honestly, it'll probably piss you off a little bit because you always have to have the bad guy, right? Anyway, so this is by Viola Shipman. I'm sorry for all of this. I go to my local library. I have been doing a reading challenge for the library this summer, and I started about 3 weeks after they started the challenge, so about the end of May. And since then, this was book number 36. And oh my goodness, I could not put it down. I want to know so much more about Viola. She writes this alone, I feel like it could become a new classic. I feel like this could be on anybody's bookshelf at home. It says Emma Page grew up the black sheep in a bookish household, raised to believe that fine literature, the only worthy type of fiction. Her parents, self-proclaimed serious authors who ran their own vanity press, the Mighty Pages, mingle in highbrow social circles that look down on anything too popular or mainstream, while her sister Jess is powerful social media influencer who stylish reviews can make or break a novel. So, see, this has things that touch on the very modern, and it goes back and discusses like family history too. And it's very, very much it, there's like competition between siblings, sibling rivalry, parents wanting to better their children's lives, have expectations, all of those things. It's got a lot of that. And then of course there's the, you know, mellow family members and the people that just want you to be yourself. It continues hiding her own romance manuscript from her disapproving parents. Emma finds inspiration at the family cottage among the fluff they despise, the juicy summer romances that belong to her late grandmother. But a chance discovery unearthed from her Gigi's belongings reveals a secret that has the power to ruin her parents' business and destroy their reputation in the industry. A secret that has already fallen into the hands of an unscrupulous publishing insider with a grudge to settle. Now Emma must decide, as much as she dreamed of one day when her parents are forced to confront their own egos, can she really just sit back and watch the mighty pages be exposed and their legacy destroyed? So it's like a great mystery, which I've really just started getting into reading mysteries. I'm a big historical fiction person. I like fantasy fiction. There's a lot of fantasy fiction I haven't read that I'm curious about. I want to know your guys' opinion on some fantasy like series that I've been thinking about reading. The Crown of Thorns series. I also want to go back and reread potentially the Outlander series. I read the first one, and of course I've watched the series. But with Bridgerton being so different between the books and the show, and anyway, back to the page turner. Emma is a recent college graduate. She's got her whole life ahead of her. She needs to figure out what she wants to do with her very expensive education. And Viola also does a great job at descriptive scenery. A good chunk of this book takes place at South Shore, Michigan, on Lake Michigan. And I was so captured by it that I started looking up potential vacation spots so that maybe my husband and I could go visit. So I think it's a great book. I don't want to give too many things away. If you haven't read it, I would love to discuss it further. So if later on when we're covering other books and you're like, hey, let's go back and talk about that first one, I'm more than happy to, because there's so much in here. I was literally getting up 2 hours early for about 3 days so that I could get this book read, because if I was just here at home, if I start, like on a weekend, it would have only taken me a day. But yes, I very much enjoyed this. I very much look forward to reading more of Viola Shipman's titles. I am going to be looking for them at my local library, and if they don't have them, I'm going to be asking for them, because this is great. I mean, strong female characters really take the lead in this, which is, yes, a little more common, but still not as common. I mean, most of the time they need a man to survive and everything. But it talks about that a lot in here too. So please, please, please pick up The Page Turner, Viola Shipman. It's amazing. You won't be able to put it down. I started following Viola via Facebook because I would love to pick her brain and know more about her. And that's something that I'm going to try and do going forward too, is maybe do a little more research on some of the authors, because she gets very personal in the back of this book, on her acknowledgments and thanking her readers and things like that. And so it's very touching. What's really great too is if you do pick up this book, there is a discussion guide. So if we want to go forward and have this be more of a book club, a discussion, this is a good guide to help us figure out like what kind of things we want to ask about a book, and things like that. But the other thing that I really look for in a book, you can always read the synopsis on the back. That's what they're there for. But I'm one of those, even in a bookstore, I will stand there and I will open to the first chapter, the prologue, whatever it is. And if a book doesn't catch me in the first few lines or so, then I have a hard time getting into it. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. And that is actually a famous pop culture reference, a quote from a very old film. I would love to know if any of you know what it is. I did, and that's why it caught me. And then I continued to read from there. So I started reading it standing in the library and was on a time crunch, and it's like, well, you got to get out. So The Page Turner, please pick it up. Please check it out. You Audible or Amazon or, readers, look for it that way. Again, you don't have to spend money on books if you go to your library. And if your library doesn't have it, ask if they can get it in, even if in an intra library swap or borrow system. Okay, the next book. This is the book that I want to do for the next episode. I have already read this. It's in my personal library. It was the other book that I got, asked for on my Christmas list. I am going to reread it. I am just restarting it. I selected this book because it means a lot to me. And also the author is someone that I support wholeheartedly. I absolutely love her. And anyway, it is Miranda Hart. I haven't been entirely honest with you. I don't know how many of you out there know Miranda Hart or her work. She is an amazing comedian and actress. She was chummy in Called the Midwife, which is how I was originally kind of introduced to her. And I had to know more about her. So I started looking her up, and I found her comedy series that was originally on the BBC. It unfortunately only lasted like 3.5 seasons-ish. Technically it's 4 seasons, but the 4th season is only a few episodes and the conclusion. But I rewatch it anytime I'm feeling depressed, down, want a good laugh, whatever, because she is my spirit animal. I love Miranda so much. But this, if you have followed her career, you may have noticed that she kind of fell out of the limelight a little bit, disappeared on us. And uh, that was really tough, especially for a hardcore Miranda fan like I am. And this explains why. It doesn't read like self help or anything like that. This is, um, you almost feel like you're reading her diary, really. She really lets you in. And she gives a lot of helpful information and tips on how she navigated chronic illness. I know I kind of gave that part away, but um, I don't want to give too much away because I really want you all to read it along with me. Get it read this week, and I will talk about it next week. And then I will have a new book because I'm going to the library today. So I will have new things. But I mean, of course, she's going to poke fun at herself because that's really what she does. Um, But what's really fun about this is that her treasures, as she calls them, which the different lessons, she's created a soundtrack for it. And I actually looked up every single song that is referenced, and I now have a Spotify playlist that is based off of this book. Anyway, Miranda's journey is something to be admired, and her courage is something definitely to be respected. Uh, I feel like this book, if you are not someone that suffers from a chronic illness or even mental health issues or anything like that, it will at least give you a little bit of an insight on what those of us who do suffer from things deal with on a regular basis. Everything from the constant fatigue to the uh, pain and feeling like you're coming down with the flu constantly. I do suffer from, I have lupus and, um, yeah, along with some other chronic things. So it really opened my eyes, and it really made me feel like someone else got it. So that is where we're at, folks. I know this is running a little long. I didn't want it to, but hopefully, the next time I jump on here, you guys will have had a chance to find me and find the books, and we can talk about the books. I'm, you know, this is kind of for me. I'm probably going to keep doing this even if nobody comments, jumps on, or whatever. I had a really cool logo that I designed um, for if I was going to actually do recorded videos. But again, I want this to be as organic as possible. I want to feel like I'm sitting in a room drinking coffee because I'm an addict of that too. Um, I want us to talk. And I realized that if I do a recorded video, all the discussion will be afterwards. And that's not really what I want to do. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Again, this is Bookworm Weekly. I am Heidi. And I guess until next time. Bye.